This week's Parsha is a momentous one. This is the week, it's Lech Lecha. This is the week where Avram becomes Avraham, and he is given the initial commandment from God that he follows, which is, go, Lech Lecha, to where God will show him, and he becomes the official patriarch of the Jewish people. So it might surprise you that much of Abraham's backstory, of him choosing God and becoming the person who proclaims loudly to all around him that there is only one God. If anybody here is familiar with the story of Terach, Abraham's father, putting him in charge of his idol shop. Terach was an idol shop owner, apparently, and he comes home and Abraham has smashed all the idols. This is sort of like Abraham's discovery moment, his moment of becoming the one who chooses one God and only one God. It might surprise you to know that all of that backstory is of the Midrash, not of the text itself. This week in New York City, we are set to elect a new mayor. And, wow, there has been a lot said on the topic from other rabbis and Jewish leaders in the past few weeks. There have been rabbis from Florida, California, and Colorado weighing in on this election, and more, not just those three states, but and more, weighing in on this election, and multiple letters from Jewish leaders have been sent out and signed from many different perspectives, some of which I've signed, and I'm happy to share with any of you who want to know after the service if you want to hear any more on that. But people are worried about the future of the Jewish people in New York City. It's a worthy thing to be worried about. And then from the seat of New York, projected out into the rest of the world. I have seen people say that depending on who wins this election, this could be the beginning of the end. So it feels only appropriate that we are reading the Torah portion about the start of the Jewish people this week when it seems that so many are worried about what comes next for us. I'm really not up here to talk about who to vote for in this election. I think you should vote for the future that you want to see possible in New York City, and I hope that whoever you vote for has the team and resources behind them to make that future a reality. I think there are some elections where we get up here and we encourage everyone to do their civic duty and vote and make their voice heard, and what we really mean is, yeah, but we all know who we really want you to vote for. But I don't think that this is one of those elections, or at least that's not how I feel. I think each candidate presents their own possibilities and challenges, and I think it might be hard to feel 100% good about your choice, no matter who you choose. I think everyone here can weigh each candidate's pros and cons and make the decision that feels right for them. And I know that that will be true for me. I will walk out of the voting booth on Tuesday feeling hopeful for the future, both for Jews and for New Yorkers, but I don't know that I will necessarily walk out feeling satisfied. However, all of that aside, I do think that there is something that we can learn about leadership and the way that we talk to one another from one of the lesser-known midrashim about Abraham's beginnings that I do want to share here tonight. So in this week's Parsha, God appears to Abraham in a vision and says, I am a shield to you, and your reward will be very great. And Abraham says back to God, how can my reward be great when I don't have any offspring? And God responds by saying, Vayomer elav, Ani Adonai asher hotzitecha mior kasdim latet lecha et haaretz hazot lirshata. I am Adonai who brought you out of Ur Kasdim, the Ur of the Chaldeans, to assign this land to you for your possession. So Abraham becomes known as Mior Kasdim. We've actually also been told previously that he's from Ur Kasdim. That's where Terach takes Abraham from, immediately preceding the line where God says, Lech Lecha. So what is this place, this Ur Kasdim, the Ur of the Chaldeans? Is it a place where one can be from, or is it something else? If it's a place, it's sort of a weird place name. But if it's something else, then we need the Midrash to help us fill it in. The Midrash tells us that the Ur of the Chaldeans, the Ur Kasdim, is not a place name, but it's actually a descriptor of how Abraham came to be Abraham. Ur means fire. So the Midrash tells us that Abraham came from the fiery furnace of the Chaldeans, where he was rescued by God. We obviously need the Midrash to fill in the details for us, so this is what the Midrash has to say. The Midrash says, Terach took Abraham and gave him over to King Nimrod. Nimrod, a famous fire god worshiper. And Nimrod says to him, let us worship the fire. Abraham says, should we not then worship the water, which puts out the fire? Nimrod says, okay, let's worship the water. Abraham says, should we not then worship the clouds, which carry the water? And Nimrod says to him, then let us worship the clouds. Abraham says, should we not then worship the wind, which scatters the clouds? He says, okay, let's worship the wind. Abraham says, should we not then worship the human who withstands the wind? And Nimrod says, you are now merely piling words. We should bow to none other than fire. I will now, therefore, cast you into the fire, and let your God to whom you bow come and save you. What happens next is that Abraham is saved by God from the fire. And that is what God is referring to when he says, I took you out of Ur Kasdim. I saved you from the fiery furnace, and I brought you here. I think we're now also in a time where we have, in a way, become fire worshipers. We have become so addicted to anger and fiery-fueled rhetoric and hate-filled Facebook posts. It has become almost like something that we cannot turn away from, even as we know ourselves to be rational human beings who do not need to add fuel to the fire. It's like we can't help but get swept up in the anger and the heated conversations. They seem to have become the only way we know how to talk to one another, to enter into the overwhelmingly hateful dialogue, and each new post that I see online ratchets up the fear meter and the fire one more notch. And I understand it. It is the cultural currency of our rhetoric these days. We feel as if we do not speak with increasingly dire warnings and predictions and talk with a tone of both outrageousness and distress, that our words and feelings might not be heard. But here is the one place where I'm going to call out some of my fellow rabbis. I have seen rabbis write, may the name of the wicked rot, after Zoran Mamdani's name. I have seen a fellow graduate of my rabbinical college write that if the person that he does not support for mayor wins, that we will begin to see pogroms in New York City. Which I can only say, oi. Do we really need to ratchet the temperature up that much? I think we have to take the temperature down. We have to be willing to be strong in our convictions, yes, but not so strong that we are increasing the level of fear and hatred in the world. We have to try and walk out of the fiery furnace that is this heated conversation, to put down the kindling in our hands and walk out with our souls intact. The end of Abraham's argument with Nimrod says, well, if you think we should worship fire or water or wind, why don't we instead worship the one who withstands the fire? Which is the catalyst for Nimrod to become so angry that he launches Abraham into the furnace. Because even Nimrod understands that we cannot raise human beings to the level of God, or in Nimrod's case, gods. Similarly now, we shouldn't raise any one human, even those who hold immense elected power, to the level of God or Messiah, or on the flip side, devil. Instead, let's turn our attention back to one another and have faith in our history and our past, while we also think about our future. We have withstood and survived through so much, both here in New York City and throughout the world. Without worshiping, let's celebrate the way that we have been able to withstand fire and flood, harshness and difficulty. Whatever comes next for New York, I have no doubt that we will be able to withstand that too. But it will be easier to do so if we cannot throw each other into the fire. if we can come together with shared values of believing in a strong, joyful, diverse Jewish future, one where we are not killing one another, but instead able to be loving, caring, rational human beings who will strengthen one another for the fires that are to come. So I'd like to close with a prayer, a part of a prayer for voting that I saw on Facebook. I am not immune from that fiery furnace. From my colleague who works in the Jewish world, Annie Lewis. She writes, "Please give us the courage to protect our tender democracy, to keep our hearts open, to care for one another, to love you well in the way we love ourselves and our siblings, our neighbors and strangers. Rabba emunatecha, your faith, God, in us is so great. May we and our leaders make you proud. May our faith in each other be great. And may our faith in the future, no matter the outcome on Tuesday, be even greater. And may we follow in the path of Abraham, who was able to withstand the fires around him, to walk forward in hope and not in fear." Shabbat Shalom.